identification, Mr. Christner.
Hi, my name's Tiffany Hilton. I represent Lavonte Gordon, and I have a call scheduled with him at this time.
Okay, I'm sorry, what was his name?
Lavonte Gordon.
Levante. One moment.
Sure, thank you.
Hello?
Hi, Lavonte. It's Tiffany.
Hey!
How are you?
I'm okay.
I've been digging, if you can't tell. So I've been finding everyone that I can find because, you know, the truth is none of their witnesses remember a single thing, and every single witness that we brought backs up exactly what you said. So, you know, they have a problem.
Okay, I'll calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Because we can't get ahead of ourselves, you know. Hi, happy Easter.
Thank you, babe. Happy Easter to you.
I went to see her in prison a couple of weeks ago. I'm gonna go again on April 29th after I finish my exams. As we get closer to the trial, the plan is to go more and more frequently.
Are you ready to go to the jail?
It's a lot better when you get to leave.
I was wondering if you had a different perspective.
Growing up, it was my mom and my dad, and I had two brothers, one younger and one older.
A regular high school girl, you know, on the phone all the time, wanting to go places all the time, wanting clothes all the time, you know.
I really enjoyed high school. I had a lot of fun. I was involved in a lot of extracurriculars. So I had a lot of friends in cheer, and I had a lot of friends in my sorority. And I had those close friends from high school that, you know, we all got into Florida together. From the outside, I think it probably did look like the perfect college experience. I was very close to my mom. I talked to her on the phone every day, multiple times a day. My mother's cousin, who she was very close with, called me and said, "Come to your condo, I have something to tell you." And he told me, "You have to pack your bags because you're gonna go home for a little while because your mom passed." That was the most devastating moment of my entire life. My mom ended up passing away of atherosclerosis, which is heart disease, but it was undiagnosed.
I was in like the group home system. My mom is addicted to drugs, so she was doing drugs when she had me. So they took me at birth. It's like I always got the worst group homes. Like I never got the nice ones that's in the nice neighborhoods or nothing like, no. I've always gotten the crappy end of the stick. They would have us like get dressed up when parents and stuff are about to come, and I've always tried to put on my best because I want to go to like a family. It hurts when families just walk by you, and just expecting to go to like a family is like one of my biggest dreams and hopes, and you know, I've never been with a family, ever.
I had been struggling to sleep, full of anxiety and depression, and somebody offered me oxycodone. I felt better and relaxed. I would say within a month, I was addicted to opioids. I fell out of touch with most of my friends. My grades started to fall. My relationship with my family took a downturn.
You could definitely tell a personality change in her once her mother died. She had a whole semester in school that she didn't go. And I said, oh, there's something really wrong here. That was the beginning.
My tolerance had gotten so high that it was just like ridiculously expensive to continue using the pills. So I asked the guy that we bought drugs from if he could get heroin. After I ended up injecting drugs for the first time, things went completely out of control, and I felt like there wasn't anything that I wouldn't do. I got arrested for a hit and run with property damage, possession, paraphernalia, shoplifting.
It's not every day that you find a 7-year-old out here trying to sleep in the woods and take care of themselves because they don't want to go back to the surrounding that they were in. And that was me. I have no care in the world because I don't have nobody to support me, and no one cares. So that's where my criminal history started picking up. going into my preteens, that's when I really started to understand, yeah, I am a part of a different lifestyle. And my mannerisms that people would just be like, are you gay? Well, I don't even know what the heck that is, but yeah, sure, whatever. I would try to just be like the outcast, just don't try to be not seen, you know what I'm saying? I've been jumped before multiple times. Being in those environments, you're permitted to fight people like me, at least.
I was introduced to meth, and I started shooting meth with the heroin. It was a really scary experience because there was people doing drugs. It was just like kind of a rundown house, people acting like totally weird because they had been up for like a long time. I was just so sick. I hadn't eaten or slept in days. I knew that if I didn't leave there, I was gonna die. So I called my dad.
I picked her up in an alley. She had the same clothes on for days. I had to roll down the window on the way home because she stunk so bad.
The key to getting sober for me was being so tired of doing the same thing that the fear of making a huge change was less than my fear of staying the same. When I was about a year sober, I decided to drive to Stetson because that's where I always wanted to go to law school. And I asked if I could speak to someone, and I was just fortunate enough to speak to who was at the time a dean of admissions. So I told her my story. I told her about my addiction and my arrests and how I'd been sober for a year and that I really wanted to go to law school. I was kind of expecting her to laugh at me and tell me there was no way I would ever be able to go to law school, but she didn't. She actually cried. And she told me that, you know, she thinks that they could work with me. You also testified that the suspect was running southbound when you first spotted him, correct? It's a huge surge of positive emotion being in the courtroom in that role as opposed to in the role of a defendant, which is what all of my prior experience was.
I'd been working with a paralegal. She left. I needed another paralegal. I thought she was bright. She did a good job. She was very forthcoming. Yep, these things happen, but it's really different for me now. And I decided we'd pull the trigger.
The Florida Bar sends out emails for pro bono opportunities. An inmate at Franklin Correctional Institute had filed a 1983 lawsuit. But this email was different because it said this plaintiff can be represented by a law student as long as they're supervised by a licensed attorney.
Tiffany said, hey, I read about this case. I'd like to take it. Will you supervise me? And I said, sure. What's the case about?
I have a transgender file, so when I'm in like any type of incarceration, it's permitted that I be alone. They took me out of the cell by myself and tried to put me in the cell with this dude that's telling them he's a gang member. I'm letting them know, listen, this man just threatened to kill me. He's literally threatening to kill me. You can hear him. All of y'all can hear him. I tried to talk my way out of it, like, listen, look, please. Before I could even talk, I was huddled up on the floor, getting my head stumped into the floor. After the first 2 stomps, I blacked out. I don't even remember what happened after that. Somebody kind of like banged on my wall while I was in confinement and was like, hey, I'm finna send something over there to you. And what he sent over to me was like the rules in the chapter 33. For them not to have avoided that situation, it permitted a lawsuit. And I filed a lawsuit, a 1983 civil complaint form. And I went, did my studies in the law library. I was reaching out to different law firms, but they weren't taking my case. I wrote an appointment of counsel for the judge to appoint me counsel.
When I read through the docket, I was just so impressed. The State Attorney General's office They filed a lot of motions to have the case dismissed, and she was able to defeat them every time. That would be impressive even for an attorney to keep the case alive for that long, but Levante had no legal training. I went to visit Levante in prison several times. She told me really what she was in this for was to prevent it from happening again.
LGBT community individuals, they shouldn't have to be tortured because of their indifference.
The Attorney General's office was the opposing counsel, but the defendants were the individual corrections officers involved in Levante's beating.
She started coming in and getting the discovery, like for the cameras and all of the incident reports, everything that was filed that day of the incident, she got it.
The incident report explicitly mentioned the surveillance video. I then went on to depose each individual corrections officer. I asked each one of them about the video, and they claimed that it did not exist. And I actually brought up on an exhibit where they had personally signed that it did exist.
Ultimately, the facts strongly supported Levante's position rather than that of the officers.
The main strategy going forward for me was to let the Attorney General's office know that I knew that they were hiding materials or that they had destroyed evidence. The Attorney General's office and said their clients wanted to go to mediation. Now, I don't know Levante. I don't know what they're gonna bring to the table whatsoever. It could be nothing, but you know, we wanna do it because we wanna see where they're at. I don't think that there's any amount of money that would make Lavonte whole again, because Lavonte is, you know, scared in prison and scared that this will happen again and scared that she'll be retaliated against or beaten again for being transgender or for her sexual orientation.
The whole situation, it changed the way that I feel about law enforcement. I asked you for protection and you couldn't protect me in a situation where you knew there was harm to be caused to me.
We decided to go to the mediation and see what they had to say. And I gave an opening and, you know, explained how I was going to present a lot of these things to a jury. We went off into our separate rooms like you do in mediation, and we were able to come to an agreement.
So why do you think they paid us? Other than the fact that they realized once they couldn't railroad Levante, they were fucked.
I just don't think they wanted to go to trial with us.
You can hear it in the conference calls. They didn't want a problem. Listen, what can we do just to squash this case and not take it any further? Yeah, she did that.
I'm really excited for Lavonte. I'm so glad that she's out of prison. I also have a little bit of anxiety because I want her to do really good things with this money, and I really want the best for her, and I know that that's out of my control, obviously. I'm not in prison. This is so great.
But this is prison clothes, so I look a mess right now.
No, you're good. So here is the check.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I don't want to say too much, but I owe you.
You don't owe me.
I do. I really do.
You're good.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I put some to the side for my niece for her college funds, so that's like building herself in my bank. I bought my car.
Turn left onto Willow Bend Boulevard.
This is a fresh start for me, clean slate. My past is my past. I'm looking forward to a brighter future with, you know, prosperity. How have you been? How's the baby?
The baby is good.
I think that's really how we developed our friendship, because she took time. She actually dedicated her time to my case. It amazes me that anyone would take the time out of their day to look into the eyes of another person and actually sincerely care. It motivates me to want to do better because she came from, I've seen her history.
If just One other situation like this doesn't happen because the people involved realize what a pain it's gonna be to litigate the circumstances. That's a win. We're gonna have an Easter egg hunt, okay? So there is 48 eggs hidden in the yard. Five years ago, I could have never imagined having a baby and being about to graduate law school, being married.
You're proud of her?
Yeah, I was proud of her even when she was on drugs. The depth that she went to, that she climbed out of, I don't think there's many people that would have really survived that.
I want to be an advocate for people who are struggling. I want to be an advocate for people that find themselves in the criminal justice system. I want to be an advocate for people whose civil rights have been violated. I want to be an advocate for people that society has left behind or perceives as hopeless, because that was me. So many people along the way told me and believed that I was hopeless.
The diploma for our next graduate will be presented by her husband, Ryan Hilton, a 2000 graduate of the College of Law. Tiffany Lee Hilton, Honors Program, and Thomas E. Pennick Jr. Award for Community Service.
A quote that I remember hearing when I was new in sobriety, and I loved it so much, is, if you don't like how the table is set, turn over the table. I just always think of that. If you don't like the way the table is set, turn over the table.
My mom then spread the word, like, oh, my baby got a lot of money. Every 2 days or so, they would have their hand out, like, oh, we need money for this. I've put myself further and further into the addiction because it's just hard to cope with everyday life knowing that my family was nothing but users. When you're pretty much looking for love, you fall into these traps where people set up, make it look like they love you, but really they just want to use you. They only love you and support you when it's beneficial. And me, I'm very gullible to the fake faces and the poker faces, so I just fall into the trap. Like, it was hard because I was addicted to the love that I never had.